This is the entire history of the Cowboys versus the Packers. The Cowboys-Packers rivalry is a professional American football rivalry in the National Football League, or NFL, between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. The two teams do not play each other every year. Instead, they play at least once every 3 years and at least once every 6 seasons at each team's home stadium, during which the NFC East and NFC North are paired up against one another. Their rivalry is all because of several important games, including 9 playoff games. CBS ranked this rivalry as the number 3 NFL rivalry of the 1990s. Although the rivalry has existed throughout the history of each team, it was the most notable during the 2 time periods. The first period during the 1960s, as both teams were highly successful prior to Jerry Jones in the AFL-NFL merger. The 1967 meeting has been labeled the Ice Bowl, and for good reason, with the temperature at the kickoff being negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius negative. The Packers won the game on a late quarterback sneak by Bart Starr, which sent them to the Super Bowl. Each game ended in a dramatic finish in favor of the Packers, which led to them winning the first 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl I and II. The Cowboys never defeated the Packers in the time that Vince Lombardi was the Packers head coach. The second period of importance happened during the 1990s, when both the Packers and the Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, irrelevant, were among some of the strongest teams in the NFC. The Packers and Cowboys met in the postseason 3 straight years from 1993 to 1995, with Dallas winning in each game. Yeah, boy. All of which were in Dallas. The Cowboys won 2 of their 3 Super Bowls in this period after defeating Green Bay in the postseason, and won 9 of the 10 meetings in the 90s. The Cowboys and Packers combined for 5 Super Bowl appearances for 4 Super Bowl championships. Additionally, the Packers won a Super Bowl in AT&T Stadium in 2011. Hey, as a Cowboys fan, it doesn't matter. Even during periods where one or both teams were not successful, the matchup was still considered a storied championship rivalry. During the Brett Favre era in the Green Bay, the Cowboys dominated the rivalry, going 9-2, damn it, with a 9-0 at home in Dallas against the Packers when Favre was the quarterback. Yeah, let that sink in. But the Aaron Rodgers era saw the Packers dominate the rivalry, while Rodgers built up an 8-2 record against the Cowboys during his time as Packers starter, including a perfect 3-0 record in Dallas. This notability included the infamous Dez Caught It game in Green Bay in the 2014 playoffs. But late in the game, quarterback Tony Romo completed what was initially called a catch on 4th down to wide receiver Dez Bryant near the goal line. After review, the referees, especially Gene Steratore, who previously overturned Calvin Johnson's catch, overturned Dez's catch. Talking about Bryant did not complete the act of making the catch after the ball bobbled as he hit the ground. Look, the Packers gained possession on a turnover on downs and ended up winning the game. Thanks to that. Brother couldn't finish his animations. This led to a major rule change in the NFL, which meant 3 years later, allowing receivers' ability to make a football move when the receiver gets control of the ball and gets 2 feet or another body part on the ground in bounds. Yeah, if that doesn't make sense, let me know in the comments. The NFL was hopeful of the new rules, saying it will eradicate some of the frustration fans and coaches and players had with apparent catches like the Cowboys receiver Dez Bryant against Green Bay in the 2014 playoffs. 2 seasons after the controversial 2014 NFC divisional game, the 4-seeded Packers again faced off against the top-seeded Cowboys in a 2016 NFC divisional game, which was played in Dallas. The Packers, who lost soundly to the Cowboys earlier that season in Green Bay, raced out to a 21-3 lead in the first half. But Dallas, behind the efforts of Bryant and rookie quarterback Dak Prescott, fought back to tie the game at 28 in the fourth quarter. After the teams traded field goals, Green Bay had a chance to drive into the field goal range and win the game at the end of regulation. But the Packers faced a 3rd and 20 at their own 32-yard line with 12 seconds left in regulation and just one timeout at their disposal. Although their chances of getting into field goal range were highly unlikely, Rodgers threw a laser to tight end Jared Cook, who caught the ball along the Dallas sidelines and barely managed to drag both feet inbounds while possessing the ball for an incredible 36-yard completion that got Green Bay in field goal range with time remaining. Kicker Mason Crosby then converted the upcoming 51-yard field goal attempt as time ran out to send the Cowboys home and the Packers to the NFC Championship game. With this defeat, Green Bay remained undefeated at Dallas's own AT&T Stadium, while Dallas failed to participate in a conference championship game for the 21st consecutive season. Guess what? The two teams played their first overtime game in the series on November 13th, 2022. The 3-6 Packers, riding on a 5-game losing streak, entered the game as 3.5-point underdogs to the 6-2 Cowboys, led by former Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. In his return to Lambeau Field since getting fired by the Packers in 2018. After a scoreless first quarter, the two teams entered a halftime tied at 14 after each team scored 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys would score 2 more touchdowns in the third quarter to take a 28-14 lead heading into the fourth quarter. The Cowboys have never lost a game in franchise history when leading by 14 or more points in the fourth quarter. But 2 touchdown passes from Aaron Rodgers to rookie wide receiver, that's a mouthful, Christian Watson allowed the Packers to tie the game and send it to overtime.
And it is tails. Dallas is going to receive, and which direction will you
After getting the ball first to start overtime, the Cowboys marched down the Packers' 35-yard line and faced 4th down and 3, but couldn't convert and turn the ball over on downs. On the Packers' upcoming drive, Rodgers completed a 36-yard pass to wide receiver Alan Lazard on 3rd down to set up Mason Crosby's game-winning field goal. This would be the final start in the series for Rodgers, who was traded to the New York Jets the next offseason. The two rivals most recently met in the wildcard round of the 23-24 NFL playoffs at AT&T Stadium on January 14, 2024. But 7th-seeded Green Bay, led by first-year starter Jordan Love, defeated the 2nd-seeded and McCarthy-led Dallas by a final score of 48-32. Wow. At one point, the Packers led their rivalry by 32 points in the fourth quarter. This was the first time a 7th-seeded team won a playoff game. In 2025, the Cowboys traded defensive end Micah motherfucking Parsons to the Packers in exchange for 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark. With Sunday Night Football out of the way, the game known as Parsons versus Jerry Jones came down to a duel of basically quarterbacks. To start the night, Dallas's offense was so unspectacular, so god-awful, the Cowboys' first points didn't come until the second fucking quarter, and they were scored on special teams when a blocked point after attempt was run back for 2 points. After this unusual score, the Cowboys still trailed by 11 points with less than 1 minute to play before halftime. Their offense started appearing to go nowhere. The course of the game then changed like that. Love fumbled on the next possessions and Dallas recovered. 32 seconds later, it had scored to a lead, 16-13, just before halftime, after a drive that jump-started the Cowboys' offense, including both of its touchdown possessions to end the first half. Dallas scored on 6 of its last 7 drives. Green Bay scored on each of its last 5 possessions. With the number 1 receiver, CeeDee Lamb, sidelined by injury, Cowboys wideout George Pickens had a breakout game with 8 catches for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. 3 of Romeo Doubs' catches for Green Bay, meanwhile, ended in touchdowns. On their final drive in regulation, the Packers put the ball in position for a 53-yard goal with 4 seconds left, and McManus drilled the kick, leading to force an overtime. Dallas still did not beat Green Bay since 2016. This game ended in a draw, 40-40, alright? And look, Dallas still has yet to beat the Packers.